We're going to die!
Hold on tight! It's coming for us!
The sun was falling down hard when Samuel came walking to Jenkins' ranch. His shoes were old and covered in dust from the long road. The dust stuck to his dark skin, like it was trying to make him disappear into the earth. His hat was worn out and bent. His shirt had holes in the sleeves. But his eyes were alive, sharp, looking for something. He had been saving money for 6 years. 6 years of working on other people's ranches, fixing fences, breaking horses, doing work that nobody else wanted to do. Work that paid less money, but was all he could find. Every dollar went into a small bag that he kept hidden under his bed. He counted those dollars every night like a man counting his own heartbeats. Slowly, with respect. The ranch was one of the biggest around, but it looked like it was dying. The buildings were old wood that needed paint. The fence rails were broken in some places. The water troughs were dirty. Old man Jenkins wasn't taking care of things like he used to. People said his mind was going soft. People also said his luck had gone bad. Samuel could smell the horses from far away. The smell of hay and animal and heat. When he got closer to the barn, a dog started barking. It was thin, too. Even the dog looked poor and tired. "Who's that?" A voice came from inside the barn. Samuel stepped into the shadow of the big barn door. Inside, it was cooler but darker. His eyes took a moment to see right. Old man Jenkins was standing near some wooden boxes, holding a rope. He was older than Samuel remembered. His face was like dry leather that had been left in the sun too long. His back was bent a little. He wore suspenders over a shirt that hadn't been washed in days. His hands were shaking not from cold, but from something inside his body that wouldn't stop shaking. "I'm Samuel," he said quiet. "I came about the horse." Jenkins' face changed. Something like anger moved across it. "You heard about that already?" He spit on the dirt floor. "That news travels fast around here." "I heard," Samuel said. "I heard you have a horse you don't want anymore." "Don't want?" Jenkins laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. It sounded like glass breaking. "Boy, I'm trying to give that animal away. I'll pay somebody to take it off my hands. That horse is bad luck. She's cursed, I'm telling you. Cursed with madness." Samuel didn't say anything. He waited. Jenkins walked deeper into the barn, and Samuel followed. The light was getting darker as they went toward the back. They passed empty stalls. Samuel could see that many horses had lived here once. The barn was built for a big operation. But now only the sound of one animal came to Samuel's ears. Then he saw her. She was standing in a corner stall, alone and far from the light. Her body was big, very big, but she was thin. You could see her ribs like mountains under her skin. Her coat was dirty and matted. Her mane was twisted and full of sticks and dirt. Her tail hung down like a rope that nobody had braided or cared for. But it was her eyes that stopped Samuel's breath. The Mare's eyes were not dead. They were not crazy, either. They were full of something deep, something waiting, something that had learned patience from being hurt many times. "That's her," Jenkins said. "That's the problem." Samuel walked slowly to the stall. He didn't make sudden movements. He didn't speak loud. He just moved like a man who had learned how to be calm around broken things. The Mare watched him. Her ears moved, turning to listen to every sound he made. "She won't work," Jenkins said. "I tried to use her last summer for pulling wagons. She just stands there. You whip her, she still stands there. Then at night, she eats twice as much as any normal horse. Eats and eats like she's trying to fill a hole inside her body that nothing can fill. I had a good vet look at her. He said she's probably just got a bad nature. Some horses are born broken. This one's born broken." "How much?" Samuel asked. "How much what?" "How much you want for her?" Jenkins' eyes became small. He looked at Samuel like he was trying to see if Samuel was crazy or just very stupid. You want to buy this animal? Yes, Samuel said. Why in God's name would you want this horse? You got money to throw away on a cursed animal? Samuel didn't answer that question. Instead, he put his hand on the stall rail. The Mare took one step closer. Not all the way to him, but closer than before. $125, Samuel said. That's what I got. That's all I got. Jenkins started laughing again. That broken glass sound. $125? That's actually a fair price. That's crazy, but it's fair. He wiped his face with his hand. You really want this horse? This bad luck? I want her, Samuel said. All right then, Jenkins said. You got yourself a deal. $125 and she's yours. But I'm telling you something now. Boy, you're making a mistake. This Mare is cursed. Her last owner broke her spirit so bad it can never come back together. She's just waiting to die now. She might be waiting in your stall instead of my stall, but she's still waiting to die. Samuel reached into his pocket. He pulled out a small cloth bag. The bag was heavy with coins that he had saved from 6 years of hard work. He put the bag in Jenkins' hand. Jenkins' fingers closed around it slow, like he was surprised that the weight was real. I'm giving you a receipt, Jenkins said, and he went to find some paper and a pencil. When he came back, he wrote something down. His hand was shaking worse now. Maybe he felt bad. Maybe he felt happy to get rid of something that made him feel like his luck was bad. Samuel walked back to the Mare's stall. He reached out his hand slow. The Mare sniffed his fingers. Her breath was warm. Her nose was soft. And in her eyes, Samuel saw something that Jenkins couldn't see. He saw a creature that wasn't waiting to die. She was waiting to live. She was waiting for somebody who would believe in her again. And Samuel, standing in that dark barn with his last dollar coins, now belonging to another man, understood something true. This horse had been waiting for him, and he had been walking toward her for 6 years without even knowing it.
Samuel led the mare home on a rope. It took 3 hours to walk back to his small piece of land at the edge of the valley. The mare walked slow, very slow. Her hooves made soft sounds on the dusty road. Sometimes she would stop and just stand there, breathing heavy. Samuel would wait. He never pulled the rope hard. He just waited until she was ready to move again. By the time they reached his small cabin, the sun was almost gone. The sky was turning colors, orange and pink and purple, like it was bleeding out before the night came down. Samuel had a small barn, nothing like Jenkins' big one. The barn was made of old wood that he had fixed himself. The roof didn't leak much anymore. There were 3 stalls inside, but only one had ever been used. Samuel put the mare in the biggest stall. He brought her water in a bucket. She drank it all, fast and desperate, like she had been thirsty for a long time. Then he brought her hay, good hay, the best hay he could buy. She ate it slow, like she was tasting it for the first time. You're safe now, Samuel said to her. His voice was quiet, calm. Nobody's going to hurt you here. The mare looked at him while she ate. Her eyes were different now, still careful, still afraid, but something was changing in them, something small. Samuel didn't have much money left after buying the mare. The coins were gone, but he had saved some food for himself, beans, bread, salt. He had a small garden where he grew vegetables. He had chickens that gave him eggs. He could live on that. The horse would be harder, but Samuel had made up his mind, and he didn't change his mind about important things. Days passed, then weeks. The mare got stronger every day. Samuel could see the change happening slow. Her ribs were still showing, but not as bad. Her coat started to look better. He would brush her every morning and every night. The brushing took a long time because her coat was so matted and dirty. But Samuel didn't mind. He would stand there in the morning light, running the brush down her neck and shoulders, talking to her in a soft voice. That's good, he would say. That's real good. You're getting stronger. The mare would lean into the brushing sometimes, just a little bit, like she was learning to trust again. But Samuel could see something else too, something that made his heart move fast. The mare's belly was getting bigger, not from food, from life. She was carrying a baby inside her, a foal that was coming. One night, About 3 months after Samuel brought her home, the cold came down hard. It was early March, and winter was still holding onto the land with cold hands. Samuel lay in his cabin, and he could hear the wind pushing against the walls. He could hear the trees moving outside. He could hear the mare moving in the barn, restless and making small sounds. Something was happening. Samuel got out of bed. He put on his heavy coat and his hat. He took a lantern from the shelf and lit it with a match. The light was yellow and warm. He walked to the barn through the cold and the dark. The mare was walking in circles in her stall, back and forth, back and forth. Her breathing was hard. Her eyes were big and full of pain. Samuel knew what this was. This was the time. The foal was coming. "It's okay," Samuel said. He put the lantern down on a safe place. "It's going to be okay. I'm here with you." The mare looked at him. Then she lay down in the straw. Samuel sat down beside her. He didn't leave. He stayed there all through the night while the cold pushed against the barn walls and the wind made sounds like ghosts crying outside. He stayed there while the mare pushed and breathed hard and made sounds of pain. He put his hand on her neck and felt her muscles working. "You're strong," he said. "You're stronger than you know. Push. You can do this. Your baby is waiting to live. Push." The mare sweated in the coal barn. Her whole body was working, pushing, fighting, trying to give life. And then, in the hour before dawn when the darkness is the darkest and the cold is the coldest, something changed. The mare gave one more big push, and a new life came into the world. The foal was huge, already big even while it was wet and covered in birth stuff. It was a beautiful color, the color of old gold. Its legs were long and strong. Its body was built like it was meant to run forever. Samuel cleaned the foal with clean straw. He made sure it could breathe. He made sure the mother was okay. And he just sat there in the straw and looked at what had happened. A new life. A beginning. In this cold barn on the edge of the world where nothing good was supposed to happen. But then Samuel saw something. Something that made his breath stop. The mare's neck. Under her dirty mane, there was something hanging there. Metal. Old metal. Samuel reached over careful and gentle. He pulled it out from the tangled hair. It was a medallion. A small round piece of leather and metal. And on it, scratched in deep letters that had worn down but were still there, was a name, Thunder's daughter. And below that, a date. 18 years old. Maybe more. Samuel's hands started shaking. Thunder's daughter. That was a name from racing stories. From legends that old cowboys told around campfires. A horse that had won race after race. A horse that disappeared one day. A horse that people said had been stolen and broken and lost forever. Samuel looked at the mare. Her dark eyes were watching him understand. "You," he whispered. "You're her. You're Thunder's daughter. You're a legend." The mare made a small sound. Not loud, just a small breath. Like she was agreeing. Like she had been waiting for somebody to remember who she really was. Samuel looked down at the new foal. So big, so strong, so perfect. And he understood something deep and true. This horse had been waiting. Through all the years of pain and breaking. She had been waiting for this moment. Waiting to give life. Waiting for her baby to come into the world. Samuel put his hand on the foal's head. "What will you do?" he asked. "What great thing are you waiting to do?" The foal didn't answer. But the morning was coming, and in the growing light, Samuel saw something in that young horse's eyes that looked like destiny. 2 months passed. The young foal grew bigger and stronger every single day. It was strange how fast it grew. Samuel had seen many horses in his life, but this one was different. This one grew like it was being pushed by some force inside it. Some purpose that wouldn't let it stay small. Samuel named the foal Gold, because that was the color of its coat, because it looked like something precious. The mare, Samuel started calling her Queen, because that's what she was. Queen watched her baby with eyes full of love. The kind of love that has learned patience from pain. Every morning, Samuel would wake up and go to the barn. He would feed Queen first. Then he would give Gold the best food. Fresh hay, grain mixed with good things that would make it strong. Gold would eat like it was hungry for something bigger than food. Like its body knew it had a purpose waiting somewhere ahead. Samuel started training Gold when the foal was just 2 months old. Not hard training, not mean training, just teaching. He would walk the foal around the small corral. He would teach it to wear a simple rope. He would talk to it in a calm voice. "You're special," Samuel would say. "I don't know why yet, but I can feel it. You're meant for something big." Gold would listen. The young horse would follow Samuel around like it understood every word, like it was learning not just how to move, but why to move. Samuel would brush Gold every day, too. The foal's coat was getting shiny and smooth. Its muscles were getting strong and tight under that golden skin. Its legs were perfect, long and straight, and built for running. But it was the eyes that really showed Samuel what Gold was becoming. Eyes that were getting smarter. Eyes that looked like they were remembering something. Something from before it was born. The valley where Samuel lived was beautiful but lonely. Not many people came through there. Sometimes a wagon would pass on the road about half a mile away. Sometimes a rider would come by, looking for work or water. But mostly it was just Samuel, Queen, and Gold. Just the three of them and the land. Samuel made his small money by helping neighboring ranches. He would work for a few days, get paid, and come back home. The money was not much, but it was enough. The small cabin had room for him. The barn had room for the horses. Life was simple, but it was honest. Then came the day when the sky turned dark. Samuel was working on a fence about a mile from his cabin when he saw the clouds coming. They came fast, too fast. The whole sky turned the color of dark metal. The wind started to push hard, knocking Samuel back a little. He could smell rain coming. Big rain. Storm rain. Samuel finished what he was doing quick and started walking back to his cabin. The first drops of rain came down before he was halfway there. Then the rain came down like the sky was pouring out an ocean. Samuel could barely see the path in front of him, but he made a home. He got to the barn and put the door closed tight. Queen and Gold were both inside, safe. Samuel went to the cabin and started a fire to keep warm. The wind was pushing so hard against the walls that he could hear it screaming. That was when he heard it. A shout, a human voice crying out from somewhere in the storm. Samuel went to the cabin window. Through the rain and the dark, he could see something on the road. A wagon. It had stopped there, stuck in the mud. It wasn't moving. The rain was falling so hard that he could barely see it at all. Samuel watched. He could see people moving around the wagon. People in trouble. They were trying to push the wagon out of the mud. But the mud was deep. The rain was too hard. The storm was too strong. Samuel knew that road. It was empty country out there. Nobody lived near that spot. If those people couldn't get that wagon out, they would have to wait through the whole storm. If their horses had run off, they would be stuck. Really stuck. And a storm like this could turn cold and kill them before morning came. Samuel wanted to go help. But what could one man do against a storm like this? What could he do with just himself? He stood at the window and watched the family struggle. He could see them trying different things. Trying to push. Trying to pull. Nothing worked. The wagon stayed stuck. The storm kept getting worse. Samuel was thinking what to do when he heard a sound from the barn. Gold was making sounds. Loud sounds. The young foal was making noises like it was upset about something. Like it was trying to tell Samuel something important. Samuel put on his heavy coat. He went to the barn. The rain was hitting him hard. The wind was pushing him. But he got to the barn and opened the door. Gold was moving around the stall. Moving fast. The foal's eyes were big and bright. Its breathing was hard. It looked like the young horse wanted to do something. Wanted to go somewhere. Queen was standing calm. She was looking at her son. And in her eyes, Samuel saw something that made his heart move. She was looking at Gold like she was waiting for this moment. Like she had been teaching Gold for this exact purpose. Samuel understood something then. Something deep. Something that had no words, but had all the truth. He went to Gold. He put a rope on the young foal. He put a simple leather harness on it. Then he opened the barn door and led Gold out into the terrible storm. The rain hit them both hard. The wind tried to push Gold down. But the young foal moved forward. Samuel ran back to the barn and got a piece of old rope. He tied it to the wagon, still far away in the storm and the dark. "Go," Samuel said to Gold. "Go help them. Go save them." And the impossible thing happened. The young foal, not even 3 months old yet, walked out into the storm alone. It walked toward the stuck wagon. It walked into the wind and the rain like it had done this 1,000 times before. Samuel watched from the barn doorway. In the lightning flashes, he could see Gold reach the wagon. He could see the family notice the young horse. He could see them tie the rope to the wagon. Then he saw Gold push with all its strength, and the wagon moved. The young foal was pulling a full wagon with 5 people inside it through mud and storm and weather that should have killed anything living. The foal's muscles were shining with sweat and rain. Its legs were pushing hard into the mud. Its body was low and strong, and it was pulling them to safety, pulling them through the impossible. Samuel's hands were shaking. His eyes were wet with something more than rain. He was watching a legend come alive. He was watching the child of Thunder's daughter do what it was born to do. When the wagon finally made it to safe ground, Gold just stood there, in the rain and the wind and the darkness. The foal turned around slow and walked back toward the barn, back toward home, back toward Samuel. And Samuel understood something that would change his life forever. He wasn't just the owner of a horse anymore. He was the keeper of a miracle. 5 years passed. 5 years of quiet mornings and peaceful nights. 5 years of Samuel living in his small cabin with Queen and Gold. The valley became a place that people knew about, but not many people came there. It was like the land itself wanted to keep the secret. Samuel never got rich. He never became famous. He still worked small jobs for neighboring ranches. He still grew his own food. He still lived simple. But something had changed in him. Something deep. People who met Samuel could see it in his eyes. He had seen something that most people never see. He had touched something that most people never touch. Queen got old in those 5 years. Her hair turned gray. Her body moved slower, but her eyes stayed young. Samuel would brush her every day, the way he always had. She would stand there and let him brush her, and sometimes she would turn her head and look at Gold. Gold became something beautiful and strange. The young horse wasn't young anymore. It was a full-grown horse now, strong and fast and perfect. But Gold never raced. It never pulled wagons for money. Samuel kept both horses in the quiet valley, where they lived in peace. But the story didn't stop spreading. Travelers would come through on the road, riders looking for water or rest, and they would hear about the horses in the valley. Some would ask to see them. Samuel would let them come. He would show them Queen and Gold. People would look at the horses and feel something they couldn't explain. Some people said they could feel magic in that place. Some people said the horses had healing in their eyes. Some people said that if you looked at those 2 horses together, you could understand something about love and loyalty that you couldn't understand any other way. Samuel never told them anything. He would just let them look. He would let them feel what they needed to feel. One day, a man came to the cabin. He was old. His hair was white. His back was bent a little bit, but his eyes were smart and sharp. Samuel knew right away that this man was someone important. "My name is James," the old man said. "I used to race horses. Long time ago, I raised a horse named Thunder. Best horse I ever knew." Samuel's heart moved fast, but he didn't show it. He just waited. "That horse," James said, "had a daughter. A beautiful mare. Fastest horse I ever saw. She was going to be a legend. But one day, she disappeared. Got stolen, I think. Or maybe sold. I never knew what happened to her." Samuel looked at the old man calm. "I came here," James said, "because I heard stories. Crazy stories about horses in a valley. A mare and young horse. I had to see. I had to know if—" "Come," Samuel said. He stood up and walked toward the barn. James followed him. They went to where Queen was standing in the afternoon light. Samuel stopped right in front of her. He reached down and pulled the leather medallion out from under Queen's mane. The same medallion that Samuel had found the day Gold was born. James walked slow toward Queen. His old eyes were looking at the medallion. Then they were looking at the mare's face. Then tears started coming down his face. "Thunder's daughter," he whispered. "You're alive. You're alive." He put his hand on Queen's neck. The old horse turned her head and looked at him. And James understood something right then. This mare had been waiting for this moment. This mare had carried the memory of her father through all the pain and breaking. She had carried it until her own child was born, until that child could do the impossible. "The foal," James said, "the one that saved the family in the storm. That's her son." "Yes," Samuel said. "How is that possible? How could a foal do that?" Samuel didn't answer. Some questions don't have answers that can be spoken. James stayed for 3 days. He slept in the cabin. He spent hours in the barn, just looking at Queen and Gold. On the last day, he sat down in the dirt and cried. Not sad crying, Happy crying. The kind of crying that comes when you find something you thought was lost forever. I understand now, James said to Samuel. I understand what happened. She lived. Against everything, she lived. She stayed alive long enough to have a child. A child that could save people. A child born from her pain and her strength. Yes, Samuel said. That's the most beautiful thing I ever heard, James said. When James left, he went to town and told people the real story. Not the legend. The real story about Thunder's daughter. About how she was stolen or lost. About how she lived in a valley and had a son that could do impossible things. About how love was stronger than breaking. About how loyalty never died. But most people didn't believe him. Most people said the old man was telling fairy stories. Most people said there was no such thing as magic. But the legend kept living anyway. Years kept passing. Samuel got older too. His hair turned gray. His hands moved slower. But he kept taking care of Queen and Gold. He kept brushing them. He kept talking to them in the quiet voice that only they could hear. One winter morning, Samuel woke up and felt that Queen was different. Her breathing was harder. Her body was tired. Samuel knew that the end was coming. Not fast, but coming. He sat with Queen that day. He sat with her while the sun moved across the sky. He held his hand on her neck and felt her heartbeat getting slower. You did everything you were supposed to do, Samuel whispered to her. You waited. You survived. You gave life. Your son became a legend. You can rest now. You can rest. Queen died when the sun was going down. She died with her son standing next to her, his head down, touching her one last time. She died in peace in the quiet valley, in the place where she had learned to trust again. Samuel buried her where the sun came up every morning. He planted flowers there. Queen's flowers. Gold lived for 10 more years after that. The horse never forgot his mother. Samuel could see it in Gold's eyes. The memory was there. The bond was still alive. When people came to the valley, and more people came as the years went on, Samuel would show them Gold. He would show them the grave where Queen was buried, and he would tell them something simple. That horse, Samuel would say, did something impossible once. A long time ago, when it was just a baby, it saved people from a storm. People would ask how. People would ask why. People would ask what made it special. And Samuel would never explain. He would just let them wonder. He would let them feel the mystery. He would let them understand that in this world, there were bonds between creatures that were stronger than death, stronger than breaking, stronger than time. Samuel never got rich. He never became famous. He died in his small cabin, in his bed, at an old age. People came to his funeral, even people who had never met him. They came because his story had touched something in them. His quiet loyalty to 2 horses had shown them something about love. Gold died a year after Samuel. The horse had nothing left to live for. There are some bonds that keep us alive. When those bonds are broken, even the strongest heart can stop beating. But the story didn't die. It lived in the hearts of everyone who heard it. It lived in the tales that people told around campfires. It lived in the mystery of how a foal could save a family. It lived in the question that nobody could answer. And maybe that's the point. Maybe some things are more powerful when they stay mysterious. Maybe love is bigger when we can't explain it. Maybe loyalty is stronger when we can only feel it, not understand it. In the quiet valley, flowers still grow on Queen's grave. Travelers still come looking for answers. And in the wind that moves through the valley, some people say they can still hear the sound of hoofbeats. The sound of a young horse that once did the impossible. The sound of a legend that never died. Because some bonds last forever. Some loyalty echoes through time. And some stories, the truest stories, are the ones that stay mysterious until the end. The family that was stuck in a wagon came looking for Samuel the next morning. The storm had passed in the night. The sun came up clear and bright, like nothing bad had happened. Like the world hadn't almost swallowed 5 people whole. Samuel was in the barn when he heard the horses coming up the path. There were 3 of them. A man in a wet coat was riding one. A woman and 2 children sat on the other 2 horses. The man's face was serious and hard, but his eyes were looking for something. Looking for answers. Samuel stepped out of the barn. He was holding a bucket of feed for Queen. He looked calm, but his heart was moving fast. "You," the man said. He got down from his horse. "You're the one who lives here." "Yes," Samuel said. "I'm Samuel." The man walked closer. His boots made sounds in the dirt. "You saved our lives last night. You and that horse." "The horse saved your lives," Samuel said. "Not me." The man's face changed. Something like confusion moved across it. "That's what I'm trying to understand. That young horse. That foal. How did it do what it did?" Samuel didn't answer. He just looked at the man, quiet and calm. The woman came down from her horse. She was holding one of the children's hand. The other child, a boy about 10 years old, was looking around like he was trying to find something. "Where is it?" the boy asked. "Where's the horse that pulled us?" "In the barn," Samuel said. He pointed with his hand toward the barn door. The boy ran to the barn. His sister followed him. The man and woman looked at Samuel like he was a mystery that needed solving. "That horse," the man said. "That young horse. It couldn't have been more than a few months old. How could it pull a wagon? How could it pull a wagon with 5 people in it through mud and storm?" "I don't know," Samuel said. And that was the truth. He didn't know how. He only knew that it had happened. "We try to keep up with it," the woman said. Her voice was soft. "Even in the terrible storm, we could see it moving. We could feel the wagon moving. The young horse was going so slow, but it was so strong. It was like it knew exactly what it was doing, like it had done this before. It never stopped," the man said. He was looking at his hands like they held the answer. It just kept pulling, no matter how hard the storm was, no matter how deep the mud was. It just kept pulling until we were safe. Samuel put the bucket down. "Come inside," he said. "I'll give you food. You must be hungry after last night." Inside the cabin, Samuel made coffee. He made food from what he had, beans and bread and eggs from his chickens. The family ate like they hadn't eaten in days. Samuel sat quiet and watched them. "My name is Thomas," the man said. "This is my wife, Mary. That's John and little Sarah." He pointed at his children, who were looking around the cabin like they had never seen anything like it before. "Where were you going?" Samuel asked. "West," Thomas said. "We're trying to get to California. We heard there was land there. Good land. We lost everything in the last place we lived. Bank took our ranch. We sold what we had and bought a wagon and some supplies. We were heading to start over. The wagon broke," Mary said. "The wheel broke on a rock. We got it fixed, but then we got stuck in the mud when the storm came. We didn't know what to do. We thought we might die there." Samuel nodded. He understood. There were many people like this family. People trying to make it in a hard world. People who lost everything and had to try again. "That horse," Thomas said again. "I need to understand what happened." "The horse helped you," Samuel said simple. "That's all you need to know." "But how?" Thomas's voice was getting a little bit angry. Not angry at Samuel. Angry at not understanding. "I've worked with horses my whole life. I know what horses can do. They can't do what that horse did. A foal can't pull a wagon like that. It's not possible. And yet it happened," Samuel said. Thomas looked at him for a long time. Then something changed in his face. Something like understanding started to come into his eyes. "You know what that horse is," Thomas said. It wasn't a question. "I know what it can do," Samuel said. "That's not the same thing." "No," Samuel agreed. "It's not." Mary was watching Samuel with careful eyes. "You won't tell us," she said. It wasn't a question either. "There are some things," Samuel said, "that are more beautiful when they stay a mystery. If I tell you everything, if I explain it all, it becomes just a story, just words. But if you keep the mystery, if you keep the wonder, then it becomes something else. It becomes a miracle that you experienced. It becomes something that changes you forever." Thomas didn't like that answer. Samuel could see it in his face. Thomas wanted facts. Thomas wanted explanation. But slowly, Thomas started to understand. "We'll tell people," Mary said quiet. "We'll tell them what happened. Tell them the truth," Samuel said. "Tell them what you saw. Tell them what the horse did. But let them make their own mystery about how it happened." Over the next weeks, the story spread. It moved from town to town. People talked about it in saloons. People told it around campfires. "There's a horse," they would say. "A young horse in the valley. It pulled a wagon and 5 people through the worst storm anybody ever saw. A foal. Impossible." Some people didn't believe it. Some people said it was a lie. Some people said the family was crazy or making things up. But some people believed, and those who believed started to understand something deeper. They understood that the world had things in it that couldn't be explained. Magic, purpose, things that were bigger than reason. Samuel never told anyone the full truth. He never told anyone about Queen. He never told anyone that Queen was a legendary racehorse from years before. He never told anyone about the medallion with the name Thunder's Daughter scratched into it. He just kept the mystery alive. Gold grew bigger every day. The young horse trained with Samuel, learning, becoming stronger. And Queen watched her son, knowing that his purpose was just beginning, knowing that this was what she had been waiting for all those years. Samuel understood something that most people never understand. He understood that the greatest power in the world wasn't in explaining things. The greatest power was in letting people wonder, in keeping the mystery alive, in letting love and loyalty stay bigger than any explanation. The legend was born not from the story itself, but from the question it left unanswered. How did a young foal do the impossible? And nobody ever really knew, but everybody remembered.